Hi, I'm Priscilla Balzer, and I'm going to do my reading analysis for our readings from week 2. Starting with making environmental policy. In chapter 2, we examined the required framework for policymaking and history and organization, including the operations of the EPA. Sticking with tradition, the national environmental programs were established where the EPA took shape, focusing on environmental media such as air, water, and soil. From this author, I got a sense of a little bit of sarcasm from author Fiorino, as he offers what seems to be a comprehensive permit governed by one or possibly few laws defining agency mission statements. The reality is we live in a complex world with far less consistency to support such an idea. And as we've seen, policy takes time. Starting with the National Environmental Policy Act in 1969, the Clean Air Act in 1970, Federal Water Pollution Control Act in 1972, TSCA, and the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act in the late 70s, to CERCLA, which is Comprehensive Environment Response, Compensation and Liability Act in 1980, Federal Insecticides, Fungicides, and Rodenticides Act in 1947, and then amended in 1972. And again in 1986, we had the Safe Water Drinking Act, which you can see over a couple decades' time just to get an act in place for safe water drinking. Next was the urban imaginary of nature, cities, and American environmental politics. This reading focused on urban development, excluding nature. Simon and Worth affirm that nature is not found in capitalist metropolis, and the people choosing this lifestyle rely on their wages to support needs, avoiding nature to provide. This type of urban development for profit neglects what nature brings to the communities and only increases the urban socio-ecological metabolism, consuming energy and resources from the lands. This mindset of urban politics assumes narrow environmental issues, overlooking environmental justice and disregard for sustainability in cities. With our third reading, we saw in New Directions for the 21st Century. Prior to the 1970s, we relied heavily on the federal government to oversee and direct states on environmental matters, due to states being viewed as corrupt and not trustworthy. Fast forward, and decades later, when the finger was pointed at the federal government for overreaching, state officials were making stronger cases that they were better positioned to assist localities on such environmental issues. At the state level, they had secured financial resources, incorporating these finances into taxes, providing the support necessary to resume the innovation. Now, the downside with this was states having more control on environmental regulations for their region. There lacked consistency and with the neighboring states, and often states contradicted each other. This concluding A state regulatory agency with cooperative involvement from the federal government to balance regulatory demands nationwide is a better option. And what I'd leave for my peers to consider is two things. With state funding to support environmental protection efforts, what might urban residents think when taxes are increased to expand the environmental policy budget, when these urban residents often lack the nature element in their urban lifestyles? And the second is green transportation and green technology is becoming more affordable. However, often this is still out of budget for the middle and lower class citizens. And what options do you think federal and state governments could offer? Thank you.